All right, guys, today we're driving a 2012 Nissan 370Z. We're back with Patrick. You may remember him from many other videos with many of your other cars.
Yeah.
You run the YouTube channel Patty Boy.
I do. Yeah, it's a good time.
Go check him out.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're driving your car today. You've done quite a few modifications to this. You do a really good job modifying your cars. You tastefully modify them for performance, driving engagement, track capability, and everything that I've driven that you've breathed on has been excellent. We recently drove your Civic Si.
Yes.
You had a very dialed-in NB Miata, and this is your latest acquisition, a 370Z. I've always been a really big fan of the Z. I had pictures of 350Zs on my bedroom wall when I was a kid. Instead of Lamborghinis, it was a 350Z. And I can do the VQ impression. You know, all right.
That's really good.
Yeah, the 370 is a little bit lower in guttural, and I can't quite match that, but the 350 I'm there at. The only thing is with these cars, I felt like they've always just needed a little bit of massaging, a little bit of perfecting. They've been kind of clunky to drive. The suspension hasn't been quite dialed in. The brakes weren't quite up to snuff. I have a feeling you've done all the right things to this. So let's walk you guys around it. We're going to talk about all the modifications, everything that you've done to this. This has about 65,000 miles on it. You picked it up for what, about 20 grand?
About $20,000. Yep.
Okay, cool. That's pretty good value. That's right in there with S2000s, with first gen BRZs and 86s, with a lot of other cool options in this segment. So look at that. No infotainment screen, just a place to put your sunglasses. I've always thought that's so cool, and it's stitched nicely. Yeah. So I just drove a Nismo Z, the new Z, the 400Z, unofficially called that. And I'm seeing a lot of familiar switchgear here. Some things haven't changed.
Yeah, lots carried over.
Yeah, sure. We still have 3 pods on the dash, and rev matching down here, though this has a manual transmission instead of the automatic that the Nismo is forced into having. Though the manual, I don't really think has changed that much between the new Z and the old Z, just the engine and the power delivery. So anyway, we can walk you guys around this a little bit, show you what the exterior looks like. I'll let Patrick tell me all the specific modifications on this, but we'll list everything also in the description. Basically, you've got suspension, brakes, wheels, tires, exhaust.
Actually, stock suspension.
Oh, stock suspension.
I just have upgraded sway bars front and rear from Z1.
Cool, okay.
I have some upper control arms and camber arms in the rear to give it a little bit more camber.
Nice.
But other than that, the suspension is actually stock.
All right, okay, yeah, that's right. I can tell because from the wheel gap.
Yeah.
What camber are you running on this? This pulled up on the driveway. It would look like a crab rolling in. It was awesome.
It looks pretty nuts. It's actually not that crazy. It's negative 2.4.
Okay.
And then about negative 1.8 in the rear.
Great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Zero toe all around. Tiny bit of toe in the rear, but not much.
Yeah. It looks great. I remember when these came out and they started doing autocrosses, because I was doing a lot of SCCA autocross at the time. And they did pretty well. They were pretty competitive back in the day, and they just look awesome. They're such good looking cars. The portions are just nice and chunky, and they have these big wide haunches.
Yeah, they can fit a lot of tire too. 275 square. So
that's great.
Not too shabby.
Wow. Yeah, bring in the meats. I love it. I assume trunk pops right down there where it is on the new car. Good storage back here. You're lacking a little bit in height, but I mean, you could fit all sorts of stuff back here. And gosh, nothing has really changed between this and the new Z.
Basically the exact same.
Yeah. You even have a little bit of space behind the seats. That's nice. Let's pop the hood.
Yeah.
And then actually, I might have you get in the driver's seat and give it a little rev while you're there. Hear this exhaust. Yeah, that sounds nice.
It's a VQ.
It's a VQ. 3.7 liter.
330 at the crank, and then wheel with the tune is probably around like 310 to 315.
Not bad.
I just have a catback exhaust, 2.5 inch cold air intakes, and a Z1 ECUTEK tune.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Did you notice a little bit less rev hang with the tune?
Not particularly. It seems about the same.
Better throttle response though with the mods, probably.
A little bit better throttle response. It's still not super like lively.
Sure.
But tiny bit better.
Cool. All right. Well, let's go drive it. Yeah, I love every angle of this car. Yeah. You even got this kind of little plastic rubber diffuser in the front.
Yeah. Don't worry about falling off a little bit.
Yeah, it's flexible. It's kind of a sacrificial piece.
It's hit some stuff out
Yeah,
here in Michigan.
sure.
There's a lot of potholes.
Yeah. Now even at stock ride height, your approach angle is pretty low. Like
It
you got to
is.
take some angles into driveways. You've got an oil cooler.
Yes. Yep. 25 row oil cooler.
Okay.
Yeah, and it actually has a block off plate right now, so it warms up a little bit quicker.
Sweet. Oh,
Yeah.
great. And then pads, rotors, fluid.
Yes.
Okay.
All of the above. Yeah.
Stock brakes. Yeah. Nice. I can see you haven't even bedded these rotors in yet. They're brand spanking new.
Yeah.
Awesome. Seat controls. Same as what we see in the new Z. You've got the front of your seat bottom, back of your seat bottom right here, and then electronic controls on the side. Bose sound system. These are comfortable seats. How's their bolstering on track?
It's okay.
It's okay.
You
Good
definitely
spot?
move around a good amount,
Okay.
but better than my old NB Miata.
Yeah.
That thing would fly you around.
Yeah.
No help at all.
All right, well, I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about inside this. I like that you've got your phone mount right here. Those are good. Gauge cluster brightness controls. 3 pods on the dash. Very clear, very easy to read gauges here. They adjust with the angle and the telescoping of the steering wheel, which is super cool. It's all connected.
Yeah.
And always one of my favorite features of the Z. You've got this little fob hole right down there. Rev matching. We are in S mode right now. We'll test that out. We'll do a little bit with, a little bit without. Oil pressure meter.
Yep. Definitely needed, because that would have been a perfect spot, but we needed a clock and a battery voltage. But you know.
That's right. Yeah, I know. Oh well.
Yeah, we got one now.
It works for the aftermarket. This actually looks pretty OEM. First shift, and I'm already noticing this is way easier to drive than any other 370Z that I've been in the past.
Yeah.
Like, it's
interesting.
just so much. It's more responsive. It's more fluid. Part of that has to be down to the tune. I don't know, did drivability change at all with the tune?
No, it's about the same. I've done a new clutch fluid. It's like actually brand new.
Okay.
As of a couple days ago.
This feels great. It's responsive. It's not as clunky as I remember. It's really easy to drive.
Yeah.
Any modifications to the shifter, or is this stock shifter,
Full
stock bushings
stock
and everything?
shifter, yep.
Okay, cool. Throw on some AC here.
Yeah.
And this sounds great too. Rev matching works so well.
I love that.
Was this the first car to come out with auto rev matching?
Yes. Yeah.
And
First car ever.
They did such a great job right off the bat, and some manufacturers have been playing catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Assume, yeah, our regular ramp is closed there. So we're going to take an alternate route. And we'll spare you the bumpiest road in Plymouth. We'll just do a little bit of city driving here.
Yeah. And feel free to hit traction control if it's not.
Oh, yeah. Just one button press, right?
Yep.
Love it. These Firestone Indy 500s hook up.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not bad.
Yeah.
They're used too.
Great.
Came with the wheels.
I've always been curious about these tires because they're a really nice budget option.
Yeah.
And they have good tread wear. They seem to hold up reasonably well on hard driving. They're just a little bit louder, but they seem to communicate well and have decent grip and just seem to be a good kind of overall tire. How are they in the rain?
I've been pretty happy with them, honestly. I had them on track, and yeah, they had a little bit of, slippage around 15 minutes into a session, but I mean, that's pretty good for
That's
a
not bad at
340 tread wear tire.
Yeah.
It's not too bad at all. Wet grip, I haven't experienced a whole lot, so I'm not gonna give a good good review on that. But
Man, the best thing about a Z is the sound. You gotta love that V6. It's great.
It's pretty good. You can mess them up with a bad exhaust, but
absolutely,
you know,
yeah.
I think keeping the catalytic converters makes them sound pretty good.
VQ, trumpets of glory. And this 370's always been a little bit gruffer sounding too. It's kind of just got like there's just lots more going on. A bit deeper and guttural. And this exhaust is nice. You'd expect it to drone a bunch, but it's kind of perfect.
Yeah, it looks like it would be loud from the back with the kind of giant exhaust tip, but it's not too bad.
Patrick, I'm a fan, man. This is fun. This is great. This is how I've always wanted a Z to drive.
Yeah.
Is you just want all of your inputs to be just kind of weighted correctly. You want your shifter interaction with the engine, the transmission to just kind of be timed right so you can really get into a rhythm with it. I think that's what I've struggled with most with driving 370s, because we've spent a ton of time in press cars the last 15 years that it was in production, or however long they made it. And I never could really get in tune with the stock drivetrain. I just felt like I could never quite nail my shifts. The clutch engagement was weird. I don't know, something about this car. I don't know if it's the tune. I don't know if it's just the fact that it's got some miles on it. Things have worn in a little bit. But it's really easy to drive and really satisfying too.
So far I've been really enjoying this car. It's a good balance of like, it's comfortable, still feels relatively light on its feet. It's definitely kind of a chunky car.
Sure.
But it does a good job of feeling at least a little bit flickable, and
it does split that difference between GT car and sports car. It's still got some weight to heft to it. Quick.
Yeah.
It sneaks up on you. The power delivery is so linear that you don't really feel it coming on until you look at your speedo and you're,
like, oh wow,
you're doing a speed. Yeah. These sway bars feel good. It's nice and flat. Good steering feel. We'll get this out on track someday.
Oh yeah.
Push it a little bit more. Yeah. This is great. It's just super easy to drive. I have great visibility. I can see all around me. Ergonomics in here are really well laid out. Everything's just so easy to operate, cruise control. I mean, that's how cars were back in the day. But it's refreshing after driving so many new sports cars. Like the Supra, for example. You can't see out of that thing. You feel like you're in a little cave, and this you have room to kind of move around in.
Yeah.
It's comfortable. And for the money, and what do you think you've put into this as far as mods? Did you buy it completely stock?
Completely stock. I've probably put in about, I'd say $2,000 to $3,000.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all.
And I mean, obviously, you don't need to upgrade the wheels, for example. That was the most expensive part of it.
Sure.
But like, yeah, you can do all the power mods for about $1,500 or so. So not
Cool.
too bad.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, and you have more power than a BRZ.
Yeah.
You can hang with some of the bigger boys on track. And, it's not quite that entry-level sports car. It's got a little bit more, leather and sophistication to it, which is nice.
Yeah, I really wanted something that was a little bit more of a step up rather than another Civic or Miata.
Sure.
I was actually really, really close to buying an NC Miata a couple times, actually.
They're so great, but they're so
great.
slow.
They're pretty slow.
They're really slow. Unless if you swap in a Mazda 3 motor or something, or a supercharger, turbocharger, they respond great to that stuff. But you've already been there. You've had a turbo
I've done
Miata.
that, yeah. I kind of wanted something that's like really just, I can just rip on. It's modern-ish, obviously. You know, it is an older car, but it has ABS. That's a new thing for me. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
That's right.
Heated seats.
Your 8th gen SI, you sold like the nicest 8th gen SI I've ever seen or driven for this.
Yeah.
But you know, this is fun, man. It's a proper sports car. It gives you the right feels. Every 370 I've ever driven, the shifter rattles. All right, let's turn rev matching off, and let's see what this is like to drive naturally. Much better throttle response here. You know, the differences with the tune I think are subtle.
Yeah.
But, and you've probably gotten used to it at this point, but going from stock 370Zs to this, it's just so much nicer to drive.
Definitely.
Yeah. Missed up that one, but that's okay. Good turn in. I mean, there's just so much tire on this car.
Yeah. And with the front camber, I like a car that sort of pushes before it oversteers, in my opinion.
Yep, no, that's good.
A little bit more safe, so camber helps out.
Really drive into that. Yeah, this is better with rev matching turned on, because you really have to jam that accelerator pedal down to get any response out of it, and whereas the rev matching just gives you that blip immediately.
And I don't try to do this often, but it does have no lift shift.
Okay.
So if you want to, you can try it out.
That's all right.
Hey, try for 1 gear.
Okay.
It's fun. Next pull, it's a good time.
Oh, S mode didn't turn back on. You have to hold the button for a little bit.
Yes. Yep.
Is that factory or is that the tune thing?
With the tune, yeah.
With the tune, okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll do a no lift 3.4 onto the highway.
Yeah.
That'd be perfect. Yeah, at 3,000 RPM, there's no drone from this exhaust. At like 75, there was a little bit of a tone, but then you kick it up 5 miles an hour, and you're in great shape. Busy morning of golf.
Looks like a kids golf camp.
Yeah, something going on. Nice CX90 there. Yeah, and there's something too just about driving this car. It's so mechanical. Everything kind of rattles and vibrates, and you get good feedback from your inputs, your steering, your clutch pedal. It's not all a numb fest like so many new sports cars.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is still from the old 350s.
Exactly, yeah.
And then the new Zs. They are even from, the 350s as well.
Hydraulic power steering, gotta love it. Kind of follows the cambers of the road. The shifter's kind of notchy. And it takes some effort, too, to change gear, to push the clutch pedal in. It's nice. It's all well matched. And the ride's not punishing. I like that you've still kept this on stock suspension.
Honestly, I think the stock suspension with sway bars is really good.
Yeah.
I wanted something that's a little bit more like compliant over all bumps.
Sure.
And I'm going to do coilovers at some point. It's who I am. But for now,
until then, you can probably use the ground clearance too.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of need it where I live.
Are you gonna drive this in the winter?
No. I've got another a Mini Cooper S. It's my daily. Yeah.
How's that going? I
love it.
Talk to you about that at all?
Yeah, it's honestly, that's kind of the reason why I bought this and sold the Civic. I love having 2 cars. I love having a car that I can kind of just like not worry about.
Yep.
It's like basically stock. And then I like having this where I can just do whatever I want to it, have fun.
That's great.
And it doesn't really matter.
And you can have 2 cars doing completely different purposes. 2-car solution is the best way to go.
Yeah.
abusive feeling.
Honestly, it's not bad though, because this has the automatic rev matching, and basically they are able to keep track of the exact shifter.
Okay.
The no-lift shift is a little bit more clean. It's just a normal like rev limiter, so
cool.
It's not horrible. Yeah.
That was cool. Yeah, nobody does no lift shift like they do in the Camaro.
Oh, I bet.
You know, the ZL1, the SS1LE, like those are, it's insane. You can just bang them off all day long. But that was cool. Good VQ noises at 7,500 RPM. That's the nice thing about this engine too, is it revs a little bit. I mean, this is good high red line.
Yeah, the tune pushes it a little bit above stock.
Okay. The stock, I assume stock 7,500.
Yeah, I forget. I think it goes to like 7,800. I think with the tune. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100%.
It feels like it still falls off a little bit at higher revs. Like you don't really need to take it all the way up there.
I don't think so.
But there's a good amount of torque. There's a good amount of just overall smooth linear power here. And you know, for the street, you take it through a couple of gears to redline and you're going faster than you probably should be. So what have you done in this car so far? You've done one track day, I know, at Waterford. I watched your video. Yep. Done any more?
Nope, just that one.
Okay.
And I wanted to do one and then sort everything out. I had one issue with the clutch fluid boiling.
Okay.
I've since then replaced that fluid. So hopefully the next event is just smooth sailing. Yeah, no, I just want to get some more seat time, and next year I'm really planning to do a lot more track driving. This year was more of just like setting the car up, getting everything dialed, and next year is going to be a lot of fun.
It really feels good. What's next? What's next? Do you want to do this?
Honestly, not a crazy amount. Really, truly, I want to do a transmission mount, maybe motor mounts.
Okay.
And then that's kind of it for a long time.
Cool.
I want to change the head unit, but you know, small little things here and there.
Yeah. Can you throw like a CarPlay thing in here or something?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think it's really hard to like integrate a normal head unit back into this, but you can do a normal like upgraded head unit pretty easily.
Okay.
I actually already have one.
Nice.
Just need to throw it in.
How does that integrate into this with like the climate knobs and stuff? You have to cut something,
There's just a blank plate that you can buy.
Okay.
So it'll have like basically a doubled in, ready to go, already cut out.
I see, and then you just swap
stay
everything
the
else
same.
in there. Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, it should be pretty good.
Cool. Under the bridge. There's that push. Back on stock pads now, right?
Yeah,
similar.
Yeah, slightly stock pads.
Okay.
Powerstop Z23s. They're just kind of a nice street pad.
Sure. Yep. Yeah, you made a few changes before we filmed this to make it a bit more streetable, right?
Yeah. I've got some time before my next track day, so I wanted it to be a little bit nicer to drive.
Sure. Yeah, I've been dailying the Type R on the front track pads.
Yeah.
I just did a track day at Gingerman, and the brakes held up amazing. Like, it was awesome. But definitely got some like uneven pad deposits. So I'm driving down the road at like 55 miles an hour, and I just hear these little high-pitched squeaks at every rotation.
Yeah.
And the pads are fine for the first like 10 stops, and then they start to squeal a little bit low speeds. But the feedback and the bite is so nice. I'm like, I'll just leave it on in the summer.
Yeah. The ones that I had, they made so much noise, it was just unbearable.
Yeah. As long as they work on track, that's what matters.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't mind just swapping them out. It doesn't take too long each time.
Yeah. You keep the same rears for track duty?
I actually upgraded keep it track pads all around.
Okay.
I don't know. It was a kit, so it's like, might as well use them.
Why not?
Yeah, it was a Powerstop.
Powerstop.
Track day. They have a track day spec.
Okay.
It's a horrible name in my opinion, but they did all right. And they're super cheap on Rock Auto. Oh my god.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
They were crazy. I think they were like $450 for front and rears. Like
Wow.
it was
Rotors too?
ridiculous.
Just
I think that
pads?
was just pads. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty good though.
Yeah.
Yeah, track day pads they get expensive.
Get up there. Yeah.
Yeah. You get into some of the nicer compounds and you're spending a lot of money. I like about the Z, the Miata, the BRZ, the 86, the Porsche Cayman is you get behind the wheel of them and they feel like what you think a sports car should feel like, how you imagine it, how you like fantasize about driving a sports car. This gives you that experience.
Yeah, 100%.
It's different from something that was adapted to be a sporty driving experience, like your SI, like my Type R. You know, it's a S2000.
Yeah, it feels pretty special every time you get into it, and that's kind of one thing that I really love having in this car rather than my old Civic SI. That just felt like a normal car.
Sure. Yeah, until you start pushing it, and it's like, oh, this can actually handle this. This is fun. This engine is great, but you know, below $6,000, it's just kind of a normal commuter. Whereas this feels pretty special all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this a lot.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, Patrick, thank you for bringing this out.
Of course.
All the way from Waterford. We'll have to do a track day in this someday.
Yeah, for sure.
I've been getting the S2000 out on track a little bit recently.
Yeah.
The Type R is super dialed in right now. It is feeling awesome. And what else? Yeah, that's about it. We've got some press cars maybe we'll want to track at some point, but this Z is pretty dialed in. I think, you know, you already know this and you have a really good gauge for this stuff, but as long as you don't go too crazy with engine and transmission mount stiffness, you should have a really solid driver here.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does this stack up in your ownership history with other cars that you've had? I mean, like, you like this or your Turbo Miata better? That was a really good car.
It was a really good car.
Yeah.
I mean, I was more attached to my Turbo Miata.
Sure.
This, I like it because it is really comfortable. I mean, like, you can drive this as much as you want, and
it doesn't wear on you as much.
It doesn't really
I bet.
beat you up.
Yeah.
It's still meant to be sort of like a grand touring car, and you can feel that. The suspension's pretty soft. You've got good HVAC controls, and yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I really like about this car as opposed to a lot of others that I've owned. It's just that it is really comfortable.
It is a really good street car. It is a good daily. They can do track duty. I've always felt like the Z has always kind of been an 8/10 car.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your mods have kind of made that a 9 or 10/10 car better? Like, is it better on track now, or is it still kind of at that same?
I know what you mean, especially stock. It's like, yeah, it's really good if you're just kind of driving just to like have fun.
Yeah.
But as soon as you start pushing, it would fall apart. I think this really helped it. I think some more sticky tires would really help it.
Yeah.
And
Get some RE71 RSs under this. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
it would be next level. It'd be crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, but I think it's almost there. It's
Okay.
almost perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I mean, that's what it's all about, is chasing that level of perfection.
I like the chase.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, you've done a really good job with this. Thank you so much for watching, guys. It's been a pleasure driving this 370Z. Well, I'm sure we'll drive it again here soon, later this fall, maybe at a track day or something. But curious to track your progress on this and any new mods. And yeah, it also just kind of cool for me to get behind the wheel of one of these that has been modified, because like I said at the beginning of the video, I've always felt that Zs need a little bit of massaging to make them really drive well And everything that you've done here has, I think, really worked. So it's all subtle stuff. It's nothing that's been groundbreaking or life-changing, but it's done a good job. And this car it's so fluid and natural to drive and enjoyable. And that's kind of all you want out of a sports car. So let's walk you guys around it one more time, and then we'll just go for a little bit more of a drive. And I'm going to go pick up my S2000 and drive that right after this.
Yeah.
So, 'cause it's just right down the street.
Nice.
How's the Bose sound system?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not amazing.
Yeah, and again, we'll put all the modifications, everything in the description, so you guys can pour over those, make comments. If you have a Z, I mean, for 20 grand, this isn't perfect. There's a couple little blemishes on the outside, a little dent. You could probably get PDR'd on the hood or something, but it's a solid car.
It's good,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have a lot of rust. And honestly, it's okay that it has a couple blemishes because I beat this thing.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
drive it really hard.
That's
so.
exactly how I feel about my S2000. If it were perfect, I wouldn't enjoy it as much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And low mileage too, relatively. I mean, it's probably only been summer driven, which is great in Michigan.
Yeah.
And it feels tight. The suspension feels really well, just, sorted. It's no rattles, no clunks, no looseness to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, solid little car. All right, let's go drive it some more. Mostly drive this with the windows down?
I don't know, hit or miss.
Hit or miss. If you're like cruising on the highway or something.
Yeah.
Exhaust sounds so good, you kind of have to, I feel like. Remember when the 350Z came out at the auto show? And this might be before your time. I don't know how old you are. They came out with this DVD, and they gave it to everyone who came to the auto show at the Nissan booth. It was called The Run, and it was just like 2003,
Yeah.
2002 when they released it. And I watched that The Run DVD. It was in Prague, downtown Prague. It was just a 350Z ripping through the streets of Prague, avoiding like trash cans and dumpsters and doing little drifts around corners.
Really sweet.
And they had the engine and exhaust mic'd. And that's where I like learned the VQ engine noises,
Yeah.
And oh man, I watched that DVD so many freaking times. And that really kind of like grew my love for the Z. And I never bought a 350Z. I drove like one of them ever.
Yeah.
And then the 370 came out, but I feel like these were always a little bit more expensive. They held their value a bit more. Nissan raised the prices on these. I mean, these, the Nismo was selling for almost 50 grand or something, right? When they stopped making them, maybe more. And the new one is like 60 plus, which is ridiculous. But
Yeah, I think honestly the sweet spot for these is getting them used.
Absolutely.
And just like
yeah.
Because
they didn't really change them much.
It's the same car.
Yeah.
There's just a different engine up top. You know, that's most of it. Some suspension tuning with the new Z's, but I don't know. I haven't driven one. I'd love to, but
the new turbo 3-liter, the twin turbo 3-liter, right? Yeah, is it's fast.
Yeah.
It's got power, and it kind of has baby GTR vibes, especially with the automatic.
Yeah.
Just because it shifts fast, it just goes. It's got so much performance, but you lose that interaction with the 6-speed manual. And this sounds a little bit better. It's a naturally aspirated sports car, which is kind of, I think, how it should be.
Yeah.
So when you were searching for these, do you feel like 370s may be a little bit more cared for, less abused, less, you know, overly modified in the market
compared to 350s?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to find clean 350s anymore, and in my opinion, a clean 350 and sort of like a used, okay condition 370, they're not that far off in price.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think a 370 is better in basically every single way, personally.
Sure. It's more dialed in. It's more power.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think 350s are awesome, and if you can find one for a really good deal, then you should take it. But it's just, I love to buy my cars, you know, as clean as I can at the time, and yeah, I wasn't finding a lot of clean 350s.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense with their age and the price point that they've been at for a while.
Yeah.
So, from what I remember too, I mean, driving a 350Z, this just feels a little bit more developed and refined, but it hasn't lost any of that, you know, that feel, that engagement factor,
Yeah.
that rawness. It's a pretty raw, visceral car still.
It is. It feels pretty old school.
Yeah.